looks, steps up, fires downfield, ball caught, Wycheck, 10, 5, driving for the goal line, end zone, touchdown Titans! Frank Wycheck, cast off by the Redskins, cashes it in, and Tennessee is in front by 12.
Well, broken play. Steve got some good pressure, had to move out to his right, found Frank sliding across the field in the middle, shot a perfect throw to him, and Frank did a great job bouncing off defenders, taking it into the end zone.
That, of course, is Titans Radio on the call of one of many Frank Wycheck touchdowns that he had over the course of his career here, not just with the Tennessee Titans, but starting it with the Houston Oilers, coming over from the Washington football franchise. And we started the show by saying, hey, listen, he passed away, Frank did, on Saturday. We personally did not know Frank Wycheck the way that you all, as Titans fans, know Frank Wycheck, or you all as Zone Radio listeners know Frank Wycheck. So we decided to call in somebody who knows him, knew him well, who worked with him, and who spent so many years around him over the course of multiple duties. Rhett Bryan, who is always good to make time for us, particularly on a game day. Buddy, I am so sorry for your loss. I know everybody's keeping Frank's family in their thoughts at this particular time, and just wanted to give you the opportunity on these airwaves to kind of articulate just what kind of a loss, I don't want to say just Titans fans or the NFL world, but the city of Nashville, Middle Tennessee, has lost in the passing of Frank Wycheck at 52.
Well, Buck, here's the first thing. That highlight that was there, that was the Monday night game in 2000, in October of 2000, in Washington at FedEx Field. And Frank fought like the devil to get to the end zone, and then he basically Gronk spiked it because that was the team, as Mike mentioned in the play-by-play, cast him aside. Floyd Reese picked him up off of the waiver wire for $100, and the rest is history. And he's arguably one of the most beloved Titans players in Titans history in the 25th season as we look back on everything. Blue collar from Philadelphia, played his college ball at Maryland, and was endearing to all the fans because they felt like they could relate to him. He was a very blue collar guy and he was the target for Steve McNair back in those days. It's hard to put into words, Buck, because Frank and I are 1 month apart in age. He's a month younger than I am. And when you get to be my age, you start looking at those kinds of things and going, this hits close to home in many more ways than being a broadcast partner or being a radio person or having a friend. In age, this hits very close to home for me. I just feel so bad for Deanna and Madison, his daughters and his grandchildren and his family, and can't imagine what they're feeling and going through right now. His brother Teddy back up in Philadelphia, and it's a big one. This is a big one. But he is what I refer to as a Gen 1 Titan, a building block. And it's funny because as Titans Radio was sitting having dinner here in Miami last night, we had the Sunday Night Football game on, and we saw that ridiculous call that they got offsides on Kadarius Toney that cost the Chiefs the ball game. And I thought, who would have thunk that on a day after Frank Wycheck has passed, here Buffalo, ironically, is benefiting with a win on what was a controversial call that involved a legal lateral. I mean, talk about bringing it all back full circle. It was really strange just kind of sitting there and thinking about that. But, yeah, he will definitely be missed. And like I said, you can go to Nissan Stadium and you will see a Frank Wycheck jersey almost every game. That's the kind of impact he had.
Well, Rhett Bryan, executive producer of Titans Radio, Titans and Dolphins tonight. I'm sure there will be words from the Titans Radio crew on the broadcast. I know we will be dialed in the press box as well, listening with reverence, certainly, about the way that you guys handle this situation. And on top of that, Rhett, you brought up the relatability and the blue-collar nature of it, and I think that's so important because You know, in every probably NFL market, there's a former player who goes into broadcasting, and particularly on local sports talk radio, that entrenches themselves not just in people's lives even further, but can be a face for a lot of different things, a voice for a lot of different things to help articulate that to fans, whether that be just simply explaining the game of football, or in the case of Frank, articulating the struggles after football and the way that started to rob him of the person that I think that I've heard you guys talk about so glowingly, whether that's Titans fans, whether that's the Titans radio crew, whether that's the staff who predates me at 104.5 The Zone. And I'm wondering how you experienced that change in him, where now his family was very quick to note in their statement confirming his passing yesterday that they would be donating his brain for study, in particular looking for CTE.
Well, here's the thing, Buck. This game is violent. Violence is used. That word is used so much, and when you hear people talk about the game of football in general, much less the National Football League. And if you knew Frank at all and had any kind of conversations with Frank, he would tell you that from day one that he figured out things weren't exactly right, he wanted to continue the study of traumatic brain injuries. And so it was no surprise to me in the family statement that his brain will be donated in that way to look and research. And he always wondered what he had and how he had it and all those things. And unfortunately, now that he's passed and way too early, we'll get to understand just what the severity of that was. But he always wanted that, and they're going to carry out his final wish by what it appears to read in the statement.
Rhett, could you take us back to 2005 when Frank Wycheck starts as an analyst for Titans Radio, 2 years removed from his playing career and retiring as a Titan? Just that process of choosing Frank to come in and be the next analyst alongside Mike Keith. I know he was very prominent in the media, had his show as a player, but what was that process like for you guys in honing in on Frank Wycheck as the guy to come into the Titans radio booth?
Well, now, the thing about that is a lot of the preferences or selections when it comes to those kinds of things involves the team, and the team at the time, the Titans wanted to have a former player who could speak on things and to call game. And of course, at the time, we had Pat Ryan, who everybody knows as the color analyst for the Vols Network now with Bob Kessling. And so it was a natural choice in terms of certainly a profile. I mean, good Lord, everybody knows Frank Wycheck when it comes to Titans lore. And so that was kind of part of the process in this. And, what people don't realize is he had as long a career in radio and with Titans Radio than he did playing. I remember his last ball game in Atlanta just before his retirement. And I don't know, I've been thinking about a lot of things since I found out yesterday morning of his passing. But yeah, he certainly was a touch point for so many fans on the field when he was a player for the Titans, off the field with his, charitable things such as the motorcycle rides he would have for Special Olympics. And then later on as, one of the co-hosts of the Wake Up Zone there on the Zone for many, many years with Mark Howard and with Kevin Ingram. And again, I go back to just the blue-collar nature, the Philadelphia kind of guy in him that was relatable to working men and women here in the Mid-South. I mean, there was a huge relatable factor there. But, I mean, you go back and look at his – and listen, as far as the playing career, he was a pioneer of the evolution of the position of tight end. He was before Tony Gonzalez and before Antonio Gates and all these guys, Travis Kelce. He was, in fact, at the time of his retirement, he was like only the fourth guy to have over 5,000 yards of receptions, over 500 receptions, and I think 28 touchdowns. I mean, he was with that early group of the Ozzie Newsomes and the Kellen Winslows and the like in terms of the sport. And one of the reasons why, I believe he's one of the reasons why the tight end is such an important position for, teams like Kansas City and Travis Kelce and all those kinds of things. I mean, he was Steve McNair's safety valve. He was the safety blanket.
Rhett Bryan, executive producer for Titans Radio, has been kind enough to give us some of his time on this game day. Titans Radio will be on the call, of course, tonight from Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Kickoff is at 7:15. Titans countdown before that. Rhett, buddy, I am so sorry for your loss and for the rest of the Titans Radio crew, and of course for Frank's family in his passing. And I'm so grateful that you took some time. I know the audience is grateful that you took some time to do this man justice in ways that we could not have done without you today.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I can only imagine all the stories that fans have been sharing all day, and certainly their sadness in losing someone that they have always been a big fan of for what he did for Nashville. I mean, he was an early ambassador of the game of professional football to Nashville. I mean, it's that simple. That's why I say he's a Gen 1 Titan. He and the Steve McNairs and the Blaine Bishops and the Eddie Georges, all of those, they were the first faces and playmakers that we saw on Sundays, and was a huge part of the history of the Titans.
Certainly something that will not be gone just with his passing. Something that will live on well beyond any of us at this point. Rhett, I will see you in the booth tonight, and we'll see what happens from there. Thank you again, my friend.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great rest of your show, and I will see you tonight.
That is the main man, Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. Of course, Jim Wyatt and myself will be in the booth with Rhett 15 minutes before kickoff to do our Titans Insider segment. I can't imagine, especially, Rhett mentioned being Frank's age. 52 is such a relatable age for a lot of people in the listening audience to just have something. I mean, something like your life coming to an end at 52, regardless of what's in your background, what kind of tragic circumstances. In this case, his family in the statement saying a slip and fall where he hit his head. I just, I think the thing that is most relatable is that it can go at any point. It can go at any point, and to be grateful for the time that you have and those that you have to spend it with.
I am really looking forward to Blaine and Mickey today. I think those guys are going to do an incredible job of remembering Frank as a colleague, as a coworker, a friend, a teammate, obviously, for Blaine. And tonight on Titans Talkback, after the game, I'll get to be with Kevin Dyson. We'll see what happens between Titans and Dolphins. Obviously, that's a call-in post-game reaction show, but, Buck, I get the feeling we're going to be talking a lot about Frank, as Kevin Dyson remembers the guy who threw him that lateral, and just getting his thoughts on losing his teammate and friend. And then we'll see what happens in Miami tonight. But those guys...
You getting choked up? What happened? Did you just choke up on the air?
No, I got a little something caught in my throat. You know how that goes. Those guys...
I've been fine today. I've been crystal clear today.
Those guys will do a better job than we could ever do on remembering Frank and the impact that he had in this building. Like we have many coworkers, like you and I, people that we deal with every day that are dealing with losing a friend today. Someone that meant a great deal to them. People that have been in this building for several years. It wasn't that long ago that Frank was on the air here, right? 2017. I mean, 6-7 years ago, Frank was on the air every morning on 104.5 The Zone and every Titans Radio game day. So a lot of people in this building that are mourning him today. And like I said, Blaine and Mickey from 1 to 3, and then Kevin Dyson tonight on Titans Talkback. Looking forward to hearing those guys' perspectives.
Well, I'm sure Brent Doherty on 3HL will have a lot of thoughts today. I'm sure, given that they are doing the Lee Company countdown to kickoff instead of Blaine and Mickey and myself and Kayla, I'm sure Brent will have some thoughts there as well in remembrance of their friend. So I think that for our purposes, we'll go about the rest of the show as best we can. You guys are welcome to call in at any point with memories of Frank Wycheck. But like I said, it would be disingenuous for us to try and make it mean as much to us as it does to you. Not to say that it doesn't mean something to us, but that we don't have those kind of visceral memories and moments the way that so many of you do out on location, meeting the Wake Up Zone guys, going to Titans games, seeing Frank perform on the field. And so we invite you to remember him the way that you want to today, not the way that we want you to remember him. That's entirely up to you. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to get involved. We will get into, in the absence of phone calls, we'll see if you guys want to chime in. I'm sure many of you have throughout the course of the day and will continue to. But we will go into quarterback injuries. Quarterback injuries are everywhere. Another quarterback looks like he may be done for the season of an AFC team. It's worth talking about, so we'll get into that coming up next.